down. Colored lights, jokes and candy, how soon the memories fade. Tinker tailor, soldier sailor, rich man, poor man, you're just a face in the passing parade. You follow the arrows, how you wish you could have stayed. But soon it will be morning and time to leave the white light arcade. They tell you you only get one ride, so make it the best ride you can find. And your eyes open wide with the feeling inside as you leave your shadow behind.
All right. Good morning, everybody. It's really nice to see all of you here. And my name is Catherine Shi. I'm the Academic Director for Helbling Mexico and Central America. And I'm also your host for today's webinar. And I would like to say thank you and welcome to our event, our Helbling Autumn Festival 2021. And I can see so many teachers from all over the place. And on the screen, you will see the Helbling team. It's me and our General Director, Kun van Landerhan, and Ana Rosales. She will be my co-host. She will be answering all your questions in the chat room and the Q&A. Okay, in the meantime, I would like to invite our General Director, Kun van Landerhan, to give you a welcome and officially open our Autumn Festival.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. And on behalf of Helbling and Helbling Mexico team, we're very pleased to see you and see so many participants from so many different places. There are people from Mexico, state of Mexico, Tijuana, Oaxaca, Morelia, Chiapas. I think all 32 states of Mexico are present. And then we saw people from India, Hong Kong, Nicaragua, South America, so many places. It is very, very nice to see all of you. So big hugs to our old Helbling friends, and also, of course, a very warm welcome to all the new people that are joining us for the first time. So Helbling is a cutting-edge publisher, and we focus on teachers and learner success. So we're holding this first festival because we wanted to celebrate autumn with you. Autumn is the time to harvest and to get together to prepare for winter. It's the time for pumpkins and pumpkin soups and pumpkin pie. And it's a time when the smell of cinnamon starts filling our rooms and our homes, and it's time to get together. It's always time to get together, of course. So we have got 5 wonderful sessions lined up for you, including topics of music, thinking, soft skills, collaboration, and togetherness. And we hope these sessions will inspire you, provide you with some mental protein, and energize your online, hybrid, or face-to-face classes. So enjoy the workshops. And with that said, I'm passing the mic back to Catherine to get this event started. Welcome.
Okay, thank you very much, Kun. Okay, now I have the mic. So I'm going to talk about today's schedule, what we are going to expect. So we are going to have a welcome, which is very short, an introduction of the speaker for 5 minutes. And then we will officially start our workshop by Robert Campbell, and followed by a Q&A session. So in the session of a workshop, if you have any questions or comments, you can write on the chat box. Please make sure you tick everyone, not just the panelists, so everybody can see your questions and chat. And there is also a Q&A area. So if you have questions, please write on the Q&A. We will try our best to answer all the questions. And then follow with a lucky draw. So stay with us. And about 11:10, we will finish the session and we will say goodbye. You will get your certificate. So now I'm going to introduce our speaker. Here's Robert. Okay. So Robert Campbell is our author and he has been written Studio, which is our latest 6-level course, American Studio. He also written a few readers like The Green Room, The Time Capsule, and Green Room has actually won the finalist of, no, it's actually not the finalist, won the award of Extensive Reading Foundations. And we are very proud to have Robert with us today. And as Kun mentioned, we would like to be closer with you since we are all stranded at home. We can't really go anywhere. So we would like to be a Helbling family by let you know more about Robert. Robert was actually born in Wales. He grew up in Scotland. He's a very international background. He has Scottish father and a mother from New Zealand. He's currently living in Barcelona, traveling a lot, and he has a great passion with music. He started to write the music at the age of 13. I was reading comic books when I was age of 13, and he loved Johnny Mitchell, David Bowie, and all kinds of film music. And I was asking Robert, what did you do, especially during the time in lockdown, during your quarantine? Most people have a new habit like me, baking a bread, doing more yoga. Robert wrote a lot of new readers. So I think it's our great privilege to have Robert today, a musician and author, to introduce us some new ideas, how to use music activities in your English classroom. Let's all give Robert a big welcome. Okay, Robert, the floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for coming to this workshop, which is called A Mixtape for Teachers. And this is what we're going to be looking at today. We're going to start with a brief personal history to explain why I'm here and talking to you about music. Then we're going to look at a song checklist. This is like a checklist you can use when you're thinking of using a song in class, but you're not quite sure what to do with it. And here are some ideas for you to use. Apart from songs, we'll be looking at other ways you can use music, and I'll be showing you some examples of music projects that are very easy to set up and use with your students. And finally, we'll be looking at a project, the most recent project I've been working on, and that's called Vocabulary Beats. Now, the title of this workshop is A Mixtape for Teachers. And when I told my co-author, Lindsay Clanfield, the title, he said, do you think younger teachers are going to know what a mixtape is? So if you don't know what a mixtape is, here's a definition. And if you don't know what a cassette is, here's a picture of a cassette. Now, I chose the title for two reasons. Firstly, because we're going to be looking at a lot of different ways to use songs and music in the classroom. So putting this together has been a bit like compiling a mixtape, choosing the ideas that I like best, putting them into the correct order. It's a bit like when you make a mixtape for someone and you put a lot of different songs and you think about the way all the songs work together. Yes, a mixtape is the equivalent of today's playlist. The other reason I wanted to call it a mixtape for teachers is because I wanted to take you back to the 1980s when mixtapes were so popular, and to 1984, which is when I started teaching and when I started using music in the classroom. It's hard to imagine, but back then there was no internet, no YouTube, no music streaming. There weren't even any or many CDs. Music was either on vinyl or cassette. In fact, all the audio we used in class was on cassette. Have any of you used cassettes in your classroom in the past or in the present? Ah, well, that's good to know. Well, back in the 80s, using songs in class was very popular, but it could also be challenging. Apart from finding a song that was suitable to use with your students, you also had the problem of finding the lyrics, the words. If you were lucky, maybe the record had the lyrics with them. But if not, you had to listen and copy and hope you could understand what was being sung. Now, apart from being a teacher, I was also a songwriter, so I wrote songs for the classroom too. And I worked with another teacher at the school, and we wrote some songs for the Cambridge English course. Now, back then, a lot of course books included songs, and the great thing about using ELT songs was students could practice specific language. And I want to share with you one of these songs that we did. This is from a long, long, long time ago. This song's called Brighton in the Rain. And we wanted to try a few unusual things with the songs. So in this song, which is a gap fill, we're practicing the present perfect, and the students had to write the past participle. And we thought it would be fun to record the song twice. And the first time the students hear it, it has the gaps in the song too. So let's have a quick listen.
I've never to Athens and I've never to Rome. I've only the pyramids in picture books at home. I've never across the sea or inside a plane. I've always my holidays in Brighton in the rain. I've never foreign food or in a foreign bar. I've never...
Okay, you must remember this is a long time ago. And so then the students would try to complete the lyrics, and then they would listen again to the complete version to check their answers.
I've never been to Athens and I've never been to Rome. I've only seen the pyramids in picture books at home. I've never sailed across the sea or been inside a plane. I've always spent my holidays in Brighton in the rain. I've never eaten foreign food or drunk in a foreign bar.
Cassettes were really a disaster. First of all, if you were using cassettes in your classes, it was really difficult to find the correct place on the cassette to find the exercise that you wanted to use. And the other thing that often happened was that they would break and you'd end up with a whole mess of tape that would have to get you back into the cassette. Now, at that time, there was a different kind of cassette that was becoming popular too. And that was a video cassette. And at the same time, music videos were starting to become popular, which meant that you could also use the visual element of songs. So it was an exciting time to be working with songs in the classroom. But why use songs? Well, first of all, everyone. I don't think I've ever met anyone who doesn't like music. So it's a popular activity. It's a good change of focus in the classroom. I remember when I started teaching, one of the great things was that students would bring a song to class and say, can we use this song? And it was probably the only time that students would bring a piece of the real world into the classroom and a piece of teaching material that you could use. So I always tried to make use of it, even if it was a difficult song. Lyrics have unusual vocabulary and unusual language too. And they also deal with topics that you don't normally find or always find in course books. Yes, and as Jose Alberto says in the chat box, they're very memorable. They're memorable when the students are doing the activity. They're going to remember the song afterwards, and it's going to stick in their head. And I remember that always there were so many students who could sing a song perfectly, great pronunciation, great intonation, even if they found it hard to talk in English. Singing was quite a different thing. Today, things are different. There's YouTube Music, which has the music videos and lyrics. There's Spotify, of course, and Apple Music, which now has this thing called, it's like you can follow the lyrics as the song is actually playing, which is quite a fun thing to do. But it means that you have access to music and lyrics in so many different ways. Okay, we're going to now look at a song checklist, things that you can do with songs. And the first thing you want to find out is there a way in to using your song? Now you can do this with prediction questions, with picture prompts, and if you don't have pictures, then words. Or you can use the song's title or the opening lyrics from the first verse of the song, for example. So I'm going to throw a question your way, and the question is, who's Pepe? Do you have any ideas? Who's Pepe? Ah, your neighbor, the bull, another neighbor. Okay, some nice answers there. A cat. I asked the question to some people in the UK, and here are some of the answers that I got. Okay, he's in EastEnders. EastEnders is the title of a soap opera, a TV soap opera in the UK. And one of the characters was called Pepe, and he had a brother called Gianni. It's not something to do with genes then. I don't know if, I'm not sure whether Pepe jeans still exist or not, but it used to be quite a big brand. And as many of you said, I don't know. Do you know? Well, here's a picture of Pepe, and I wonder if you can tell me anything about the person you see in the picture. Maybe the kind of person it is, the age, or what you think he's doing. Good, a tough guy, an actor. He's staring at the wall. A character in a video game. Could well be, yes. Those are all good answers. Now I'm going to show you two more pictures from Pepe's story. So in the second picture, you can see we seem to be in a police station, and that looks like Pepe's portrait photo behind them. And then on the right, there's a cover of a magazine. It looks like a film magazine. So this person could be an actor. Anyway, those pictures tell the beginning of the story of Pepe. Now, if we didn't have pictures, we could use words. And I've taken these words from the first verse of the song. And the students could try and piece together what they think the situation is in the song is. And they can also discover what the words mean. And then you could give them the first verse of the song and ask them to put the words into the correct place. So once you've got a way into the song, the next thing I think you should look at is whether the song tells a story or not. Because if it tells a story, you can use that in so many different ways. Now, we already know that Pepe's song does have a story. So we're going to watch and listen to the first 2 verses and chorus of the song so you can get an idea of what it's about.
Pepe emptied his pockets, had no money for the train. Stood on the crowded station concourse thinking, I'm never ever going home again. So he walked up to a stranger, said, hey mister, won't you please give me my fare? And 2 hours later, he was rich and still standing there. He had made an important discovery, how easy taking other people's money can be. When Pepe danced, he'd close his eyes, stretch his wings, and he would fly like a bird gliding high in those deep blue Spanish skies. Pepe picked pockets and stole his first car. Broke into a luxury apartment thinking, I wanna be where the rich kids are. In the commissaria, Detective Garcia pinned Pepe's picture to the wall, said, I'm gonna get you, kid. And all it took was one call. Newspaper reporters told of Pepe's life of crime, from courts to institution and back to the street one more time. And when Pepe danced, he'd close his eyes, stretch his wings, and he would fly like a bird gliding high in those deep blue Spanish skies.
Okay, that's the beginning of Pepe's story. It gets worse. So if your song does tell a story, then there are a lot of things you can do. To start with, you could do a simple cutting up the verses, jumbling the verses, and get the students to put them into the correct order. They could discuss what happened before or what happened after. In this song, it talks about never going home again. Why do the students think he never wants to go home again? Or they could think, what happens later on in the song? Or what happens after the story in the song? They could maybe role play a scene. Perhaps there's a part of the song where there are different characters talking to each other, and they could do a role play and actually be Pepe and one of the other people mentioned. You might be lucky and find a writing link, like maybe someone mentions a letter or something in the song. I don't know if you noticed, but in Pepe's song, there is a writing link, because in the second verse, it talks of the reporters, the newspaper reporters, writing stories about his life of crime. So in that case, the students could imagine they are newspaper reporters and write a very short news story related to it. There's also normally always a story behind the song. For example, with Pepe, I wrote the song soon after I came to Spain, because I got here and there was this fashion at that time, in the mid-80s, of making films about young criminals on the streets. But the strange thing is the actors who played the parts were the real criminals. So they made them into these big stars. And of course, they couldn't handle fame when they had success. So most of them came to sticky ends. I don't know whether that's a very Spanish thing, or have there been similar films in Mexico and other countries? Okay, you're here in Mexico? Is that a yes? I don't think so. No, I got a feeling it's a very Spanish thing because I was so surprised by it and thought it'd be good to write a song about it. There are lots of places where you can find the story behind different songs. One of my favorite sources is a podcast. It's also a series on Netflix called Song Exploder. Now, you may not be able to use this in class, but it's a great way to find information. And it's basically people, songwriters, telling the story of how a song came about, maybe the story behind the song, and then how they put it all together. It's very good. Okay, apart from looking at the stories, you can also work with the lyrics. And I don't know if any of you have seen the series of videos that I did about using songs. But there I said, working with song lyrics is like just working with any piece of written text. So you can just decide, what can you do with it? For example, is there a language task? Is there something you can exploit for the students to work with? Now here's the first verse of the song. What could we use? Well, what I used was exactly the simple past. So taking out the verbs, and first of all, the students have to think which verb goes in which place, and then write the verbs in the correct tense. You could do a vocabulary task where you take out some of the more interesting vocabulary, and if you wanted to make it a full activity, you could write sentences, say 6 sentences, choose 6 words, 6 sentences. Half of the sentences use the words correctly and half incorrectly. The students use dictionaries to find out if the words are being used correctly, and then they also find out the meaning of the words so they can write them into the lyrics afterwards. You could also do a translation, translating the lyrics into the student's own language. This is particularly good if the lyrics are really bad, because then the students can see how bad the words are. And if you're lucky, you can also do an information gap activity where student A has to ask student B questions to be able to complete the set of lyrics. So student A would ask, what did Pepe empty? And you can also work on rhymes. You can find pairs of rhymes in the song and then take out one of the words and add them to a word pool. And then the students will have to try and find the rhyming words in the song. There's also a cut-up technique, which I particularly like because it's a technique that's used by quite a few songwriters and authors. David Bowie used it a lot. And he took lines from old diaries and other people's books or newspaper cuttings, and he cut up all the different lines. And then you could even cut some of the lines in half. And the students put them into an order. Now, it doesn't have to be the correct order, but they can put the halves, the bits of paper into the correct order, and then see what lyrics they have, and then they can compare them with the original. And if you can't use a story and you can't work with the lyrics, what else can you do? Well, you can use the video if the song has a video. I particularly have fond memories of the video on the left because we didn't have to use the song at all. The video was a comic book story. So we had a story in the video, and there was also a lot of comic book vocabulary in it. So there was a lot we could do with that. Also, if the song doesn't have a video, the students could think about what type of video to use with the song. Maybe your song can introduce a theme. With Pepe, there is a theme of crime, and it's quite possible your course book doesn't deal with that theme, so it might be an interesting topic to discuss. Or you could focus on the artist. I was just looking online and I found this interview with Billie Eilish, and I've always been confused whether she's Billie Eilish or Billie Eilish, the pronunciation. And so it was quite fun that this interview cleared up that problem. So basically, you're using an interview to do some practice for language with the students, and then you can use a song afterwards or use the song as background when they're working. Now, we all have opinions about music and songs. Some students might like one kind of song and others. So it's a very good opportunity to practice giving opinions and giving strong opinions if that's how your students feel. And apart from what your students think, you could also use reviews of tracks to find out what other people think of the music. And finally, there's Catherine's favorite activity, which is singing the song. So if your students are into singing, then that's a great thing to do. Okay, I want to look at some quick other ways to use music. The first time somebody told me, my first year of teaching, oh, why don't you use some background music? I thought they were crazy, but then it's a great thing to do, especially when students are arriving at class. It makes the atmosphere so much more relaxed. And it's also very good for when students are doing tasks, especially if they're working in pairs or groups, because it kind of kills that silence that often descends on the classroom. And again, it just makes for a more relaxed atmosphere. And also at the end of the class, so they leave the class feeling positive. Yep, classical and soft jazz is definitely good music for when students are actually working and need to concentrate on the work. Another good thing to use are playlists. Now, we talked about the mixtape at the beginning, and now here we are with playlists. And here are some typical playlist categories. Now, in Spotify and other streaming services, there always exist playlists for different genres, for different types of music, like here, dance, electronic, chill, flamenco, Latin. But they also have playlists for activities, like good music for sleep, doing a workout, cooking, etc. So getting the students to create a playlist, working in small groups, is a fun activity to do. You can just think of tasks like we have in the list here, and then working in pairs or small groups, they can think of good songs to use for each occasion. and they can also list the name of the artist and the genre. And in that way, you can build up a class playlist and get an idea of what music your students like. And it'll be interesting to see what music they put for studying, because you could actually make that playlist on one of the services and then play it in class for when the students are studying. Another way to find out what music your students like is to do a simple survey. And either you can write the survey or get the students to do it. But again, you can find out when they use music and what music they particularly like. Song titles. Okay, these song titles are all from songs by one particular artist. Can you identify the artist? Really? Yes, I gave you a clue a few slides back. It is Billie Eilish, who sings the title song in the new James Bond film, No Time to Die. Now, you can do this with any artist. All you have to do is choose some song titles. Now, the students are going to choose one of the titles and then write a very short story using the title as the title of their story, but they can't use the actual title in their story. So when they finished, they exchange their stories, and the other students have to try to identify which title is the title of the story. Now, I'm sure you recognize some of these song titles. Can you name the group? Of course. Yep, these are all songs, Beatles songs. Do you know how many songs the Beatles wrote altogether? Oh, 800. Actually, it's around 227, about 200. Yeah, you're closest. 227 or 229. Now here we have these song titles, which are all names. These are all places. Again, these are all titles of Beatles songs. One-word titles and a phrase. Now in this activity, students pick a title from each of the categories, and then they have to write a story. Only needs to be about 50 words, using all or as many of the titles as they can. The other students then read the stories and spot the titles in each story. Now you can do that like this and let the students pick which titles they want to use, or you could cut up all the titles and put them into different piles, and students would blindly pick a title from each pile, and then they have to write the story based on those titles. Okay, now music projects are always popular, and these ones are quite simple to set up if you fancy doing it. The first one is getting students to form a band. And the first thing they would need to do as individuals is choose an instrument. So this is a good opportunity for you to practice the vocabulary you need to name all the different musical instruments. And then students can choose the one that they think is best for them. Partly it can be an instrument that they would like to learn, but also they could think about what kind of person they are and whether, whether being a singer is the best option for someone who can't sing, for example. Then they make a group. Now this is great because we ask students to work in groups all the time. And here they actually are forming a music group. So they find other students who are playing other instruments that they can make into a group. And then they can choose a name for their band, decide what style of music they're going to play, and create a profile for each member of the band so they can become somebody else. They don't have to write about themselves. They can create a member of a band and a fictitious band. Then they could write a verse and a chorus, the words for a song. And once they've got the song, they can design a cover for their album or their single. And then they become famous and give a press conference in which the other students in the class have to prepare questions. And there are often very normal set of questions that the press asks to groups in press conferences. So it's quite a nice role play to do. And they can also make a video. But making a video can be a project in itself. Now, a music video usually starts life as a storyboard. And a storyboard, like in movies, like in the films, is basically a grid like this, where someone who is creating the video sketches ideas for what could appear in the video, what the story could be in the video. So here, for example, the students' sketches don't need to be as detailed as this, but this is the kind of thing where they would tell a story and then they would write notes explaining what is happening in each picture. Now, they could either do that just to create a storyboard with the writing, or if it's possible, they could then go on and make the video. Another project is organizing a music festival. And this is quite a fun thing to do, thinking about where you work, where the students have to think, where would be the best place to have a music festival in our town, in our city. So the first thing they would have to do is try and create a dream lineup of artists for the festival. So they would have who would be playing on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They can do this in groups and then they can compare ideas and create the ideal ultimate festival lineup. Now, organizing a music festival isn't just about getting the artists to perform. They're going to need all kinds of facilities, different things, services that they're going to have to include at the festival site. So they would make a list of all the things that they need, and then they could create icons. Like here's an icon for a camping site. And then they could place these on a map of the area that they've chosen to organize the festival. Or you could supply a map like this one here, and then they would decide where's the best place to put the stage, where are we going to put the tents and the toilets and all the information that they need. Once they've done that, they can create posters for the festival or tickets even. Here's an example of a type of ticket that they can then change and make for their festival. So those are some quick ideas for projects that are quite easy to set up. And I want to finish the webinar by looking at the last thing that I've been involved with. And these are called vocabulary beats. Now, basically, vocabulary beats are music tracks with spoken words and phrases for students to repeat. It's an idea that I've been playing with for several years. And when we started work with Studio for this course, Helbling were really excited by the idea and wanted to include them. And so we've used them with the vocabulary lists, which appear in the workbook for the course. And basically, students listen to words and phrases. And the first thing they have to do is find the words and phrases in the word lists. So they listen to the track and they do that. And then after they've done that, they listen to the track again and they repeat the words and phrases in time to the music. Now, it's a fun way to practice pronunciation and stress and rhythm in phrases and sentences. But the best way to explain how they work is to try one. So I've got some volunteers there who are going to try their hardest to do this task, and you can try it at home too. All you need to do is listen and repeat the words and phrases. So here we go.
Vocabulary beats 3 and 4.
Gym.
Gym.
Workout.
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 I go to the gym
I go to the gym
for a workout.
for a workout.
I go to the gym for a workout.
I go to the gym for a workout.
Tiger.
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 Miles.
Mile.
Miles.
Tigers can run
Tigers can run
at 40 miles an hour.
at 40 miles an hour.
Tigers can run at 40 miles an hour.
Tigers
Tigers
can run
can run
at 40 miles
an hour.
Part-time.
part-time.
Time.
100.
100.
She works part-time
She works part-time
for $100.
for $100.
Dollars.
She works part-time for $100.
She works part-time for $100.
Dollars.
Great, thank you. Now you can actually make your own vocabulary beats. Someone said they're like jazz chants. That's exactly right. That's what they are. If you want to make your own vocabulary beats, then all you need to do is find some instrumental music that's got a good steady beat to it. And then you can start by taking a couple of vocabulary items you want to practice, and then build those into a phrase. And first of all, you cut the phrase in half, and then you end with the complete phrase. You can do it, or you could get your students to actually create these. If you play the music in the background and they understand what they have to do, then they could take words and build them into phrases and then do the vocabulary beat as well. Now, because I've thrown a lot of ideas at you, I hope that you'll want to try some of these ideas. So I've put a download together, and it's one zip file. And if you download it, what you get is 2 of the vocabulary beats tracks, just the instrumental tracks. So you can put your own beats on top. You'll also find there's the complete version of Pepe's song, which you've got the audio track, the lyrics, and the artwork, which you can use. So you can use that activity if you feel like it. As a flash from the past, there's Brighten in the Rain, the song, both versions of that. And then I've also included just a brief version of the song checklist, so you can look at that as well. And that's the address where you can download the files from. And if you've all managed to get that done, then all I can say is thank you very much. It's been fun to do. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Robert. It has been a wonderful session. There are so many great ideas, and I'm going to steal all of them and use in my next classes. And you started with a very traditional old mixtape idea and ended with a wonderful modern vocabulary beats. And in between, we enjoy the Pepe Pickpocket. A lot of teachers says it's very tongue twisted and very fun for students. And I never know it's called Billie Eilish. So I thought it's Eilish. Now I know it's Eilish. Okay, so this is something new to me as well. And I think for me, I particularly enjoy the music project. It was so much fun to form a band and even do a press release. So it's really nice. Thank you very much. Let's give Robert a big hand, a virtual hand. I know you're at home, but we can all applaud together. Okay, thank you very much. Now is our Q&A session. We have a lot of questions and Kun has selected a few and we are going to do our Q&A session. I will leave the floor to Kun.
Okay, well, first of all, Robert, I agree with Catherine, of course. These are all very inspiring ideas. People are wowing about a lot of the project ideas and songs that you use and the way you use it. But I had a beautiful memory. I used the Cambridge English course as one of my first textbooks ever in a classroom. And I wasn't aware this was you, but now that I hear the voice, I actually recognize it.
You was only 13.
No, that was about 35 years ago. That's amazing. So you're still at the music, and now you're at it with your newest course, Studio. So that's cool. I mean, somebody's been bringing music throughout his whole career is fantastic. Now, teachers had all kinds of comments. It was amazing. People are saying, they were giving suggestions as well, like lyricstraining.com is a good site where you can find songs and texts. You could use it for minimal pairs and diphthongs and difficult words for students. Somebody said the point is for teachers to always have an objective for using the song and what students will be able to do, learn and point out and so on and so on. Just have fun. Rhyming practice and using rhythm is such a nice way to develop or practice vocabulary, somebody said. And that brings us back to the award, I would say award comments is for vocabulary beats. People say it's such a great idea, it's amazing, they love it. If you look at the chat, Robert, it's amazing. So there are a few questions. There was one question, somebody says, well, I have adult students that like classical music, whereas I also have teenage students in the same class that love pop music. So any suggestions on what I could do?
Well, we touched on that before when someone in the chat box said that they used a lot of soothing jazz and classical music for when the students are working. And I think that classical music is a great example of you find the right piece of music, it will change the atmosphere in the classroom if you use it for background music. You can also create tasks for jazz and classical music, such as the students could imagine that the music is the soundtrack to a scene in a film, and then they could try and picture what's happening and then write a description of what they think is happening in the film. Could be fun.
Right. Yeah, that sounds like very much fun. There's so many ways you can use music. Somebody else asked, so those cutting the sentences of the lyrics in paper slips works very well in a face-to-face class, but and then somebody mentioned, yeah, you can also use it on Jamboard. But for those who are not so fluent with technology, what could you suggest or other ways to use this for online classes?
Well, I think you could just display the different song titles all together and use the version when the students can pick the titles that they want to use. If you want to do something slightly more complicated, I've also found that using PowerPoint is quite an easy way to play around with lyrics and move words around. You can do it in PowerPoint and then export the PowerPoint as a movie and then upload it to YouTube or show it to your students and do it that way.
That's a cool idea. Okay, so back to the vocabulary beats, because this is where most comments came and people just, poured their amazing, wow, that's so cool. So I think I'm going to pass the mic to Catherine. She can talk a little bit more about vocabulary beats, where you can find them and how you can use them.
Okay, let me start my video in the meantime. Okay, well, let me adjust. Now you can see me and all the speakers. Okay, well, thank you very much for Kun's Q&A session. I am very happy to, okay, let me adjust my point. Okay, you all know we always have those technology issues, and now I'm just having one. Well, okay. It will come.
As Bill Gates said, it's all plug and play, but we call it plug and pray.
Okay, well, in the meantime, I can give you another minute to ask questions. And now you have also sorted out a few questions during the session, so we can.
Yes, Robert, actually, Adriana Luna posed a really interesting question. She's asking if you have any suggestions or strategy for students who are so shy that they find really hard to sing, even though they seem to work nicely in other classroom activities.
I'm here.
Okay.
Yes, well, you're talking about me because I hate singing in groups or in a classroom or anything like that. I much prefer to be quiet, sitting in the background. But then something very weird happens when I get hold of a guitar and start singing that it has the opposite effect. I suddenly feel much more confident and can enjoy singing. So I would say that singing can be sort of good therapy for shy students, and you don't have to sing loudly. You can just sing to yourself. So I would keep trying is what I would say.
All right, thank you very much, Robert. Okay, now my screen is back. So I have to do a quick introduction because we have so many teachers asked about where do I find vocabulary beats. Vocabulary beats come from our new 6 levels adult course by Robert and Lindsay, and they are the 2 leading authors. And it is a special course we designed during the pandemic, and it's for online teaching, blended learning, and also, of course, face-to-face. But on this screen, you can see it has a lot of online components, and which is most of Mexican teachers are facing at this moment and need the online teaching support. So what we are going to offer today is a trial code. And what do we have in Studio? Something very special is Studio actually have 12 channels, which include from education, arts, sports, travel. As you can see, there's like a 12 o'clocks and 12 channels. What we want is students and enjoy different kind of topic in every different unit, while they don't get kind of bored with the same topic too long. And all these 12 units, we actually recycle in 6 levels. So what we are going to do today is after this session, you will receive a thank you email from us, and there will be a request for you. You can click and request Studio 14 days free platform access. Inside this access, you can log into our platform and you can check our ebook plus, which is an interactive student book, include annotation tools and notes taking and all the multimedias, video and audio. And on our platform, you can also see the cyber homework. Every unit, we have unit practice and pronunciation activities. And as you saw, Robert actually demo a lot of like a Pepe's song. You could actually do pronunciation activities and information gap. So yes, in the cyber homework, we provide more activity practice for your students. And with the code, you can download our Helbling Media app. Then you can see the audio and video and pair word that include vocabulary beats. So you can listen to the vocabularies on the mobile phone. And yes, on the platform, you can also see every unit. When we finish, we have exam practice that include TOEFL, TOEIC, IELTS, and Cambridge exams. We believe students should be well equipped for all kinds of exam skills. And project is one of our favorite, and Robert's project about the music festival and create a music band is just one of the ideas coming from this project as well. You can see more project in studio. And last but not the least, a teacher has a huge headache during pandemic time to create tests, how to assess my students. On studio, you will find online tests. It's placement test, unit test, midterm, and final. All these you can access for 14 days once you activate your code, and you will receive the thank you email, including this. Okay, and now it is our lucky draw time. Before the lucky draw, a lot of teachers ask, can I receive the recording and all the other things? Yes, you will receive the recording at the end of our Autumn Festival. We will send all the recording to you. And if you have any more questions, you can actually write on the chat box. We will consolidate all the questions after, and we will send you a reply via email. Okay, so now is our lucky draw time. The first thing you would like to know is what prizes we are going to get. Okay, in this Autumn Festival, we are giving away 45 e-readers. Helbling is very famous for all our classical readers and original readers, and a lot of e-readers are especially designed for teenagers and young adults. And we are giving away 45 e-readers for all the people who are registered in our event. And today's prize is from Robert. Okay, there are 3 readers. The Time Capsule. Look who is the author, Robert Campbell. Okay, yeah. And the next one is Next Door. It's Robert's new book. And the third one is a classic one. It's Dracula. Pumpkin Day is coming. Okay, all the 3 readers, as you can see, they can be accessed via mobile phone and computer. It comes with ebook and then it comes with audio. And on the platform, you can find the online homework and also you can download exam preparation sheet. So let's now invite Robert to tell us the lucky person. So I'm turning on my lucky wheel. Time to start. The first winner goes to
Is Vianney Rosette.
Congratulations, Vianney. The next one.
Sofia Santiago Guillermo.
Congratulations, Sophia. Okay, now the third winner.
Jesus Alonso Gonzalez Rodriguez, a long name.
Yeah, congratulations, Jesus. And we have 3 lucky teachers. Each of you will receive a set, the 3 e-readers, as we mentioned. Okay, and teachers, if you didn't get it today, don't worry, we have 4 more sessions coming. And all the attendees today, you will receive a certificate by Helbling, and it's signed by your trainer today, Robert Campbell. And this will be emailed to you 5 minutes after the event with your name on. As you can see, there's also a QR code. You can scan the QR code with your phone and that will bring you to the certificate with the link. You can share to your Facebook, your LinkedIn, your Twitter. Tell your friends you just attended our first Helbling Autumn Festival. So before we end this session, let's all give Robert another big thank you. Thank you very much for your wonderful presentation, and we really, really enjoy that.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much. Okay. Tomorrow we are having another session by Jen Ravel. It is the same time, Wednesday, 10 to 11, and it's about thinking. It makes you think. And we will see you tomorrow. If you haven't registered, please go to helblingmexico.com to register, and we have 4 more webinars coming. Thank you very much today, and I hope you enjoy and get new ideas. You will receive our certificate and thank you email with all the information, the things Robert provide the free download for you. And if you have any questions, just contact us. You know how to find us. Go to our website, helblingmexico.com. I will see you tomorrow. Bye.
Bye-bye. Have a nice day.
Have a very nice day.
Thank you
Thank you very much. Thank you.
See you tomorrow.
And I'm going to see, can I play Robert's music? Okay, this is the music by Robert Campbell. I play that in the beginning of our event. If you missed that, this is the music we are sending you goodbye. Thank you very much. See you tomorrow.
Colored lights, jokes and candy, a marching brass band, a carousel, giants, jugglers, a girl turning cartwheels in the sand.